Hello, I'm David Grasso. Welcome back to another Millennial Minute on Bold TV. Today's touchy subject: should pandemic unemployment be expanded? You've already heard from our guests, Max Burns, he's a Democratic strategist, and Isabel Brown, a spokesperson for Turning Point USA, both friends of Bold and friends of mine. Thank you both for being here. We love hearing from both of you. So, Isabel, really interesting way you set this up. You kind of threw a curveball here, like the government created the shutdowns and now we're demanding government relief because people can't work. Is that correct?
It absolutely is. And we really find ourselves in an unprecedented situation as we head into 2021 when it comes to where millions of Americans are going to find economic relief for the problems that they've been facing for the last several months throughout 2020. I don't think any of us could have predicted in March when things started to shut down that we would find ourselves here as we round into the end of December. But it's time for us to take tangible action, not resort to the same tactics that have been used for the last several months that continue to economically and personally and health-wise harm the American people. We're seeing upticks in mental health disorders and substance abuse. We're seeing people really struggle with cardiovascular disease and cancer screenings. There's a lot of other problems as a result of these lockdowns beyond that economic argument. But first and foremost, we owe it to the American people to give them the opportunity to provide for themselves and their families.
So Max, what do you have to say about this? Because this kind of wasn't the thrust of the debate, but your counterpart here is really blaming the shutdowns for unemployment in the first place.
Well, the problem with that is that COVID caused the reasons for these shutdowns to take place. Government inaction from the very beginning worsened this crisis. And we've seen just this week in Kansas where ICUs are overloaded, in Utah where hospitals are rationing care, that when we try and go back to normal, when we say just go back to work, what happens next is a huge flood of COVID infections that causes even worse shutdowns than the ones that came before. So what we need to do is make it economically viable for people to stay away from these large workplaces until we have a vaccine rolled out that makes that both economically and morally safe to do.
I guess I see what both of you are saying. So where I'm standing right now in Manhattan, we have double the unemployment of Orlando, Florida, where I spend most of my time. So I guess I'm wondering if we can't have a safe way to work. Isabel, is there a way to, make sure that people don't end up dying, but also, that they preserve their mental health and most importantly, their livelihood?
We absolutely have many ways to do that already. And as well as this vaccine continues to be approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration, we just saw the first approval be granted today, with hopefully that first vaccine rolling out next week. That's going to become more and more likely. Max, I think it's really interesting what you said, that it was government inaction that caused these severe spikes in COVID-19 as we've come into the second half of 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic. But statistically speaking, it's been significantly more likely for individuals to get COVID-19 in states that have had extreme lockdowns, including California and New York. Meanwhile, in states like Arizona and Utah, which have been fully really allowed to express their own discretion at the local and county level rather than extreme regulations from the state government and obviously the federal government above that, you've been less likely to contract COVID-19. So first of all, I don't think it's necessarily government inaction that's leading to more cases from a virus continuing to spread. A virus obviously is somewhat beyond the control of any government, local, state, or federal. But it's now time for the American people to get back to work, to avoid other health problems, to avoid further economic disaster as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Max. Please respond.
The only challenge is for a lot of people, there's no work to go back to. I look here in Manhattan, I look at Broadway, not just performing artists and theaters, but caterers, construction workers, electricians, plumbers, who have been told, bottom line, they're not coming back to work until at least summer of next year when there's a vaccine. One of the things we can do to make this not so painful is to actually pass another CARES Act or something along those lines. We've seen from the CBO that when $1 of pandemic stimulus is given directly to a person, it creates a $2.13 economic multiplier from that person, not just saving some money, but also spending a little in the economy. And what we need now is to really jumpstart the recovery by making sure people aren't facing the new year about to lose their homes.
Yeah, so we're out of time here, Isabel, but do you agree we need some sort of stimulus to keep on going here?
I agree wholeheartedly, and I have to say I was disheartened to see that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi now said she's okay with passing another round of stimulus legislation simply because her preferred candidate is slated to take the White House.
Well, anyway, guys, we'll leave it there, but always great to see you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Bold TV. Be sure to catch us on any social media platform. Most of our handles are at Bold TV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Parler, you name it, we're there. We'll see you soon.